Do you want some power skills? Well, one of the biggest power skills that I could teach you is how to teach children to be calm. I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach parenting and communication, as well as good family relationships all over the world through the lens of self-government. And we are talking about calmness and power in this video. In this video, we're going to be talking about why people are not calm, what calmness really means, and a process that we can teach our children so that they can be calm in any situation. We're going to talk about why people choose not to be calm, but first let's understand self-government. So like I said, I teach everything through the lens of self-government. Self-government is being able to determine the cause and effect of any given situation and possessing a knowledge of your own behaviors so that you can control them. So what does that mean? When a person is self-governing, then they have taken the time to say, what type of a person ought I to become? Or should I be? What version of me do I want to really work on living? Because we all know there's the bad version and the good version, right? So when a person is self-governed, they say, this is the type of person I want to be. This is the effect that I want. But I know myself, and I know that right now the things I'm doing, they are not leading to becoming this type of person. So I need new things. I've got to practice a new way so that I can become that type of person. So that's important. This is a brave step that a person makes. They take ownership over their own thoughts, their own feelings, their own behavior. They seek to understand other people as they become understood more. They choose calmness. They pick all of these wonderful tones that they need in order to stay the course. So just so you know, frustration and anger, annoyance and stress, they do not lead to self-government. Those are the antithesis tones of a tone that would lead to self-government. So in order to have a self-governed environment, you have to have a tone of trust, love, mercy, acceptance, consistency, calmness, etc. There's so many. That's what it's got to feel like within yourself, within your heart, and also within your home. And there needs to be a certain type of a structure. So you can't maintain calmness and consistency without some skills or rules or something to follow that keeps pointing you in that same direction. So what I teach when I'm teaching about self-government is I teach tone and I teach structure. So in this video, let's talk about the tone of calmness and why people struggle with it. And then I'm going to give you some great structure for how your child can choose calmness. So why do people choose not to be calm, especially our children? Why do they choose not to be calm? Well, it's usually because they are giving in to impulses, okay? So our brain is very interesting. When we are in the front part of our brain, the prefrontal cortex, we actually have full capacity to think and problem solve. But the further that we go back in our brain, the more emotional we get and the less ability we have to solve problems in the front. So when you're at like midbrain and you're getting emotional and things are starting to spiral out of control, you have maybe like 40% capacity to be able to think in the front. So if you can't pull yourself forward, you may not be able to solve your problem, which then gets even more frustrating. So then a person starts to force. They start to push and push so that they can get rid of the frustration. They don't want to be in that place in their brain. They don't like it. They want to make it better. And so what they do is they use more emotion to try to solve the problem. But once they get to back brain, which people often call the fight or flight part of the brain, once they get back there, they have like 10% ability, if that, to solve their problem. At that point, they oftentimes have to wait for their chemicals to go down enough so that they can start going into front brain again. Whoa, that's a lot. So people get stuck in panic and stress because they haven't planned ahead of time for how to manage it. So a wise parent teaches their child ahead of time, hey, we could experience stress. In fact, what does your stress look like or feel like? In fact, when it's first coming on, what's that first little indicator that you have? Let's analyze that. Let's figure that out so that as soon as it's coming, we can change our thought process and point ourselves down a good path so that we can stay in our front brain. Now, this is hard enough for an adult, but think of how it is for children. For children, their prefrontal cortex cortexes are very small. The prefrontal cortex of the brain does not fully develop until a person is between the ages of 18 and 24 years old. So they could be in their mid-20s before they actually feel fully confident in solving their problems, or at least have what they consider to be a system for them for solving their problems. This is huge. This means they're going to need some help. They're going to need some support, and they need somebody to be patient as they go through this process and learn to create a habit of solving their problems and staying calm. So, can children be understood and stay calm? The answer is yes. But I'm going to tell you something. A lot of that rests on you. Can you stay calm too? I'll tell you what, we're talking about teaching our children calmness today. But if you stay with me to the end of this video, I'm going to give you something that you can use for your own calmness too. Because if you're not working on your calmness, it's going to be harder to help them implement what we're going to be talking about here. So let's talk about calmness. What is calmness? This is something I've studied for many years. A long time ago, I came across the best definition of calmness I have ever heard. And it's actually from a man named William Jordan. And he wrote an essay called The Majesty of Calmness. This was back in the late 1800s, maybe early 1900s. He was quite a philosopher, and he really nailed it on calmness. So listen to this. I'm just going to read it. I don't normally read on my YouTube videos, but I want to make sure that I get it exactly right. So he says, calmness is the rarest quality in human life. It is the poise of a great nature in harmony with itself and its ideals. It is the moral atmosphere of a life self-centered, self-reliant, and self-controlled. Calmness is singleness of purpose, absolute confidence, and conscious power, ready to be focused in an instant to meet any crisis. Wow. Does that hit you like it hit me? I'm thinking absolute confidence. What does that look like? That looks like no matter what happens, I'm ready. Don't you want that for yourself? Think of what would happen if your children have that. No matter if a bully comes to me and says something he shouldn't, no matter if my brother or sister won't share, no matter if mom and dad say no to something, I am confident that I can handle the situation. How powerful would that be for your child? Or what about conscious power, ready to be focused in an instant to meet any crisis? Think of the power behind that statement. That means they've decided on purpose to have that intentional power of calmness, and that they can use it at any time, that they are staying focused on where they are headed. This is the hallmark of a person who has self-government. And what about being self-centered, self-reliant, and self-controlled? Many people think of self-centered as a bad thing. They think of it as self-absorbed. But that's just because semantically we've changed the word. We don't fully understand it anymore. Self-centered means a person is centered, that they're ready for anything, that it doesn't matter what happens, they have chosen to think and to stay in that front part of their brain. This is huge. This is calmness. And it's what I wanted for myself and for all of my foster children as well as my own children. So I didn't mention this before, but for years I did treatment foster care for troubled teens. They were all between the ages of 12 and 18. And they had things like ADHD, ADD, OCD, ODD, RAD, FAS, kleptomania, compulsive lying, anger control issues, self-harm issues, sometimes suicidal tendencies, bipolar. Some of them were on the autism spectrum. They had a lot of things that they were dealing with. And they came to my home for treatment. And I knew that I couldn't help them change their minds and their behaviors unless we could first get them to stay in the right part of the brain at the key moments. We had to help them understand how to do that. So we taught them multiple skills and principles. We set up an environment that would teach them self-government. These skills that we taught the children are actually not just childhood skills. They're skills for everyone. All successful people can do the 4 basic skills. Skills like following instructions, accepting no answers and criticism, accepting consequences, and disagreeing appropriately. They also learned how to self-correct, how to praise and be grateful for good things, how to problem solve in their brain ahead of time before a problem even occurred. These were all the kinds of things that we taught the children, and it led to what? Absolute confidence. But for almost every child that came to our home, and for some of my own biological children, we needed to go into more detail about calmness and that power that they could harness by choosing calmness in their life daily. That's right, choosing calmness. It is a choice. Now, before I get to the skill set about calmness that we can teach our children, click that subscribe button. Are you enjoying this content? Is it something that you think could be useful for other people? Then we want people to find this channel. And when you subscribe to the channel, not only do you get notified about other videos that come out, but other people do too, because our channel becomes more popular, and we really want that. So click the subscribe now. For your child to have a chance at being calm, you need to plan ahead of time. You need to prepare for them. Now, some people will have a calm down place that they prepare, especially for small children. This can be effective. To have a place where you say, you know what, when it seems like we're not being calm, it feels like this. This is what our body does sometimes. And so when that happens, mom's going to say, oh, Porter, you're whining. We need to go to the calm down place. And so then I'm going to gently take Porter to the calm down place, and he knows that's where he's going to stay until he's calm. He also knows that if he gets calm on the way to the calm down place, he does not need to go to the calm down place. It is not a timeout. It's just a trigger spot, just a place to be calm. So if you have little children, having a calm down place can be a very powerful thing. And teaching them what is calm, what is not calm. That's important. Practice it, act it out. What is a calm face? What is a calm voice? What is a calm body? So for children, especially younger children, if they're under the age of 12, these books are really helpful. They teach the 4 basic skills that I teach in my Teaching Self-Government Parenting course and in my other parenting book called Parenting a House United, but they make it fun for children. So this one teaches following instructions. This one, Porter Earns a Quarter, teaches accepting no answers and criticism. Paige Takes the Stage teaches disagreeing appropriately, which they love because then they can change your mind and do it in an appropriate way. And then this book here, Big Win for Quinn, teaches accepting consequences. You can't teach a person self-government if they don't know how to accept consequences, because they have to take responsibility for all of their thoughts, behavior, and emotions. So these books are vital. Every one of these 4 basic skills starts with the same 2 steps. You look at the person. This establishes a connection, a heart-to-heart thing. It also lets the parent know I'm ready to be taught. And number 2 is keep a calm face, voice, and body. So as I'm teaching these skills to the children, I am going to be practicing what is calm, what is not calm. So even though having a calm spot is a good idea, we're also going to want to have skills and structures put in place so that they know what to do if things start going wrong, if they are not feeling calm, or if they feel like they don't know what to do with a particular feeling that they have. So now I'm going to share with you a process that you can teach to any child, no matter their age, so long as they can cognitively understand what it is that you're talking about. So it may not fully work for a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old, but probably by the time a person is getting to age 4 and up, they could start to comprehend this process. Although you might be surprised what your little ones can do, because my 2-year-olds could disagree appropriately with me. So if they're verbal, you talk to them a lot, and you know they're just really smart ones, which a lot of children are, they can actually probably learn more of this than you might imagine. All right, let's go through this process. I've written it here so that you can see all of the steps, but let's talk about what these steps mean. So step number 1 is you teach the child to recognize the feeling. We need to help our children understand what is really going on inside. So we need to talk about anger. We need to talk about sadness. We need to talk about happiness. We need to talk about all of the feelings that a person has, and we need to understand what actually goes on inside when we have a feeling like that. So maybe your child struggles with anger. You will say, well, what happens when you get angry? Oh, I go like this, and they might be able to even act out what they do. Well, what thought do you have when you start to feel angry, because it's really that place of thinking, that thought, that's where they can change their behavior totally. That's where they can change their mind. They could choose a new thought, and you can help them with that. But first we need to talk about it so that then right in the moment when they feel their fists clenching up or their jaws tightening or a knot in the pit of their stomach, whatever happens to them, then they can go, oh, that's the feeling that I get of anger. I'm starting to get that feeling, right? So then what's the next step? Stop. So you tell them stop. And I would always tell my children to take a little step back. So I would say, here you are, you feel the anger coming on. The knot is going into the pit of the stomach. Now, step a little bit back and just stop. And then we're going to move to this one. Check yourself. Check yourself. Okay, what's going on? And I might ask myself a question. Am I calm? So I'm going to teach the child to ask themselves, am I calm? What is happening? Is this thought good for me to be thinking? How is my breathing? Is it fast breathing? Can I take a deep breath? What's going on with my body right now? Can I relax my body? Let's get myself ready. So when we go to this check yourself thing, we need to be focusing on going toward calmness, okay? So once we figure out we've got a problem, we start telling ourselves, okay, now we've got to go toward calmness. So how are they going to handle the problem, though, that was up here without going back into that feeling and emoting in a way that is harmful? Well, we've got to tell them what else to do. So this brings us to step number 4, where they are going to seek to understand. So they say, okay, this person over here, they took my toy. Okay, so why would they do that, right? Or what is going on with them? How are they feeling, right? There's a skill, it's called disagreeing appropriately, where we seek to understand and then to be understood. That's 2 of the steps in the 7 steps of that skill. And those things hopefully are hardwired in the brain so we could be saying, okay, well that person really wants that toy, or they feel like I'm not playing nice or being fair or whatever it is. So you're going to, and if they don't know how to do this part, this is where they need your brain, because your prefrontal cortex is more developed than theirs. So you might have to help them figure this out, but they could come to you and say, Mom, I need help. Or Dad, I've got a problem. Can you help me with it? And so then you can help them look at what they are not seeing so that hopefully they can get themselves even more calm. As they've already stopped, now they need to handle their problem, okay? Then maybe they might need to know what to say. That's step number 5. So this is where our skills come into play. So what type of skill would help us in a situation where someone is taking something from us? Well, that skill, disagreeing appropriately, is going to be really powerful. To disagree appropriately, you look at the person, you keep a calm face, voice, and body. You say that you understand the other person's point of view. You share your point of view. You listen to what they have to say. You say, okay, and you drop the subject. That is a really powerful way to communicate. But also maybe you just need to drop the subject sometime and accept a no answer, because maybe somebody is telling you it's time for bed and that makes you upset. You don't like to go to bed. Well, sometimes you need to know how to just follow instructions or accept a no answer for staying up or whatever you asked to do instead. And then you need to look at the person, keep a calm face, voice, and body, say okay. Or you could use that disagree appropriately skill and then drop the subject. Just don't think about it anymore. Which brings me to some of these steps here down at the bottom. So number 6 is don't push, okay? So once we have used our skills, then let's not push at our emotions anymore. We have to help our children understand that once we have gotten to that place, sometimes if we don't get our way or things don't work out, then we want to try to push or force, but forcing somebody is not helpful. It's not really a good way to solve a problem. And so pushing is not good. We've got to be patient. When I say pushing, I mean emotional pushing or nagging or hanging on somebody or whatever it is, all of a sudden going back into that out of control, not calm behavior. And I'm using little children examples, but this is for adults and bigger children too, okay? In fact, for adults, I have other skills and steps to skills. Some of them are similar, but then some are different for what adults need to do to help a person get calm while they're getting calm at the same time. And I'm going to give you some of those at the end of this video. So Anyway, number 7 is drop the subject. That means don't think about it anymore. Don't take it personally anymore. Just decide to let it go. Say, you know what? This doesn't have to control me. I'm not going to ruminate on this anymore. Well, your child wouldn't say ruminate. I'm overthinking this, or I don't want to think about this anymore. I'm going to let it go. I'm going to drop the subject. This is a conscious decision. When a person drops the subject, they've done it on purpose. It's not usually because they got distracted. Some parents will think, I just need to distract my children and get them onto something else so they don't think about it anymore. And that's one way, but then your child passively changed their behavior, and so they don't know how to do it again in the future without you distracting them or something else like a digital device distracting them. And that's what parents are doing a lot right now, is just putting their child in front of a device to distract them so that they don't have problems and they don't go out of control. But if we want our children to be free, we have to teach them self-government. They've got to know what they're doing and why. And they can start learning that when they're really young, actually. So dropping the subject, super powerful. It is possible for your children to choose calmness, even though they may have a habit of not being calm. But what is required is giving them the skill. So people don't know what they don't know. If you're struggling with your calmness too, it's probably because you need a skill too. It's not because you want to be out of control or rage all of the time. Maybe some people think that's fun or shows power. It's really just false power. True power is the kind that is ready to be focused in an instant to meet any crisis, that has absolute confidence, and that is the rarest quality in human life. It is rare to be calm. You want your children to be different, to stand apart in this increasingly wild world that we live in? Teach them to be calm. Teach them to be fully self-reliant. Help them have that kind of confidence. And they will be able to be a force for good in this world. They will be able to advise others and strengthen others. That does mean you need calmness too. I promise to help you with that. I would like to give you a free gift. This gift is my Calm Parenting Toolkit. It's a mini course. It's a perfect first step for getting started on your self-government journey. So below this video in the description section, so click the little arrow, open that up. I think it's one of the top links. It says teachselfgov.com/toolkit. If you go to that link, you will get the Teaching Self-Government Calm Parenting Toolkit for free right now, and you can get started on learning self-government for you and your family. Click on the link now. I'll see you there.